A second pandemic. Christmas is now behind us, and many Canadians are heading to the new year under more restrictive public health measures. Multiple provinces have new gathering and capacity rules in place this morning, and there may be more to come. Laura McQuillan is on this story for us today. So, Laura, good morning. Let's begin in New Brunswick, and what is new as far as restrictions there?
Morning, Jan. Yeah, they're cutting back their restrictions around gatherings to your household plus 10 people. That's from your household plus 20 people at Christmas. But what we heard from the Premier, Blaine Higgs, just a few days ago was that this isn't based on what's going on in New Brunswick with Omicron. It's actually him looking to Nova Scotia and Quebec, seeing their surges in cases and knowing that it's only a matter of time before it happens in New Brunswick. So we let people keep their big gatherings for Christmas. For New Year's, it will have to be smaller. As of today as well, restaurants, retail, gyms, other services, also cutting back their capacity to 50%, and people are being told to work from home where possible. So for New Year's, folks in New Brunswick will need to make that smaller plan B, Jen.
And we know Quebec, of course, also brought in new rules yesterday that seem to be among the toughest in the country. And why did it wait until the day after Christmas?
That was a question that was put to Premier Francois Legault last week, and he said, you know, we do have the strictest rules in North America, and we do trust people to do the right thing when it comes to gatherings. He said people would keep healthcare workers in mind when they got together on Christmas. They were allowed to have 10 people, but now that's been cut back to 6. So gathering sizes, 6 indoors or 2 family bubbles, or rather a bubble of 2 families. Same rules for restaurants as well. So it'd be at a table, 6 people or 2 families. This after Quebec also announced closures around bars, gyms, cinemas in recent days, making working from home mandatory because it is really worried not just about its case numbers, which hit 10,000 on Friday for the first time, but also what's going on in its hospitals. New modelling suggesting that they could see a significant increase in cases by January. They're also facing massive staff shortages in Quebec, so a lot of worry about the healthcare system going forward.
And we also know Manitoba, Laura, poised to announce new restrictions. What do we know so far?
That's right. So they didn't change anything in the lead up to Christmas. They set gathering sizes indoors as your household plus 10 guests if everyone's vaccinated, up to 5 guests if anyone was unvaccinated at that get-together. But even before Christmas, they were signalling that there would be these changes to gatherings to come after Christmas. There were questions put to their top doctor, Dr. Brent Rusin, late last week about what about tonight's Jets game on home ice? It could have 7,500 fans. Would that be a good idea when the province is reporting record numbers of cases? And he said Manitobans need to be prepared that as of this week, they would not be having large gatherings. So now we're watching for Manitoba to make that announcement, presumably in time for tonight's Jets game. We'll also be keeping an eye on Ontario because it did once again report record numbers over the weekend. 10,000 reported on Christmas Day in terms of cases. Experts, even provincial officials, saying that is likely an undercount because testing is so stressed. So as you can see, the numbers vary a lot across the country. The date that these restrictions are coming into effect varies. But the message that we're getting from public health officials and also from medical experts who are watching this closely is make sure you limit your contact as much as possible. No matter what that gathering size number is, they say it is not a target, it is a limit, and try to keep below it because that's the best way to keep yourself and others safe with all these fears about the healthcare system across the country. Yesterday, I spoke with Dr. Christopher Labos, who's an epidemiologist. He's really worried about what all those gatherings might mean just a couple of days or weeks from now.
There's an argument against cutting off your nose to spite your face. As frustrated as people might be, having a large gathering is not going to serve you well in the long term. You may get sick, the people around you may get sick, and even if you get over it, even if you have a mild infection that doesn't make you severely ill, it's going to have a negative impact on the healthcare system. And that's going to lead to not just people in hospital, but it's also going to lead to canceled surgeries. It's going to lead to longer wait times. It's going to be harder for you to access medical care, even non-COVID medical care down the road.
So some important advice to keep in mind there as we look ahead to New Year's, and of course as we look ahead to potentially more provinces announcing restrictions in the coming days, Jen.
Laura, thanks for the latest. CBC's Laura McQuillan in Toronto.